Hey folks, all right, we're gonna do some game design today. We're still playing around with the Unearthed Arcana Psion for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition 2024. Give me a second here. I'm gonna check in on my signal, make sure everything's coming through clear. I've got some fast social media postings that I need to do, and then we're gonna get to work here for a little bit. So let's see here. Checking in on my signal. And looks like, okay, great. Looks like I'm coming through loud and clear. 5 by 5. Well, all right, so we'll hit that button there. We're gonna hit that there. I don't have the countdown thing, so you get to see me muddle around while I press the update buttons and stuff. Normally, you don't see that stuff while people are doing countdowns, but I am not that guy. So I'm hitting my social media posts here real quick. So if you're coming from the socials, welcome to the mix. I'm now hitting my Discord server to let them know that I'm up and running for those that hang out with me and sharpen their knives off stage, like on the Saturday playtesting, for instance. Let me entertain you here real quick with my origin story. So if you're new to the channel, you're like, what the hell is this guy doing? Well, my name is Phil Kearney. What is up? I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And I'm most focused on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition and now using the 2024 updated rules. I'm a big MTG enthusiast. The first stuff I started building on the DMsGuild was the Magic the Gathering color mana spell point variant rules system that it's available online. It's been there for 7 years now, and now that we have 2024 mechanics, I'm excited about updating them, but Wizards dropped us a new Psion last week. So the 14th class that they've ever created for 5th edition. And like everything else, I'm a huge color mana enthusiast. So we're converting the Psion, which is largely fueled by spell slots and energy dice, to instead use the same mana system as all other 13 classes do in the color mana system. And to convert the dice, the energy dice of the Psion into the power dice of the martial characters in the martial power system. So that pretty much stitches up all of that. Let me just fix my screen here real quick so we can get started. I'll finish off saying, thank you, new subscribers. You guys are awesome. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications of when we're live in the future. If you click the more button down here, you're going to see a bunch of books that I've already created that are on the DMsGuild. They all have free previews, as will this current project once it's completed. And if you want to tag along, the Unearthed Arcana playlist, playtest document, the Psion, is here on D&D Beyond. You can click here to download the document. And if you want to play along in the playtest document, you can click here under Martial Power Playtest. And for you, it's going to be a read-only document, but once it publishes on DMsGuild, it'll be 100% free preview, just like everything else that I build. So this allows you to get access to it now. And looks like some fonts could not be loaded. Try reloading. You know what? I honestly don't need this thing today, so I'm just going to go ahead and click out of that, and let's open up our powers folder here. And we're going to look at, here's the Psion that we've been building for the UA. Okay, I started building this on Friday last week, and then Monday last night, I was building it some more. We've got the full class loaded in here. We've got the scaffold, which is a full caster. So you get your cantrips, you get your spell levels. We go up to 10 with this, Wish being the only 10th level spell. So generally we give full casters access to Wish one way or another. And then you have your mana pool, which is a long rest. You regain on a long rest. It's a 1-to-1 point ratio. So a first level spell costs 1 mana. A 5th level spell costs 5 mana. A 9th level spell costs 9 mana. And if you look at the character progression, if you were to add up the spell levels here for the Psion at 20th level, it's got what? 4 first, 3 second, 3 third, 3 fourth, 3 fifth, 2 sixth, 2 seventh, 1 eighth, and 1 ninth. Just like every other full caster does. So let's see, button pressing there. Let me pull open a calendar here real quick, or a calculator real quick. Let's do the math together. So 4 first level spells plus 3 second level spells plus 3 ninth level spells plus 3 fourth level spells plus 3 fifth level spells plus 2 sixth level spells plus 2 seventh level spells plus 1 eighth level spell plus 1 ninth level spell means you have 89 levels worth of spells in the normal spell slot system that just automatically parse those things there. But with our system, you actually get nerfed a little bit. We only give you 80. A half caster has 40, and then like the monk, pack mana, the Eldritch Knight, and the Arcane Tricksters, they have 20 mana. So 20, 40, 80, and then the sorcerer has 100. So because you combine the spell points with the with the sorcery points, that's 80 points for the sorcerer as a full caster, plus the 20 points of the sorcery points combined into 100. So you've got 20, 40, 80, 100. And the Warlock, if you want to think about it, has 20 points of pack mana from level 1 to 20 like a monk does. And you get 40 points of mana starting at 11th level through 20th level. That gives them 60. So in the system, we have a mana system that gives you either 40, 20, either gives you 20, 40, 60, 80, or 100 mana. It's really simple, and it works incredibly well. The 1-to-1 point ratio is super easy, so that when you just look at your mana pool, I've got 26 points of mana left. What could I possibly do with that? Can you divide by 5? You probably got 5 5th level spells and a first level spell left over. So that's how that system works. And of course, Warlocks using spell points aren't bound to only using the top level spell. You can if you want, but you could also spend a single point to cast, I don't know, Friends or a Charm Person, for instance, if you want to, whatever. Anyway, so the way that the Unearthed Arcana works, the way that they built this is they treat your energy die. You get a number of dice, and it acts kind of like Bardic Inspiration dice, and it also kind of works like meta magic. So you would spend a psionic energy die to modify some sort of d20 test or damage that you're dealing, or you just spend the die as a resource. For those that knows who've been around this channel for the past year, the way that we use mana is that the martial characters work off the 20 points of mana short rest casting system. So you regain all of your mana when you finish a short rest. This system is for barbarians, fighters, monks, rogues, and the paladin, ranger, artificer, and warlock can use it as well. The way that this system works is that when you spend a point of mana, if the power that you use, because you don't cast spells with the martial power system, you use powers. So like, for instance, there's a number of different categories. We call them disciplines. So, I mean, cheers. But like, for example, a first level, a 1 point exploit, which you get at first level, for instance, would be like empowered effort. When you make an ability check or a saving throw, you can roll 1 power die per mana spent this way, adding the highest roll to your result. So it's not that we just stack dice up and get stupid high bonuses to blow out the power curve of the bounded accuracy system of 5e. You can spend additional resources to roll multiple dice and keep the best one. And that's a fun way to utilize the mana system and to give you risk and reward. You want to risk spending 3 mana to roll 3 dice. Like, say you're rolling d8s. Do you want to spend 3 mana to roll 3 dice, maybe to get that 8? Or are you okay with the idea of just spending a single die and overall you're going to end up with a 4 or 5 as your average result? Well, if I got a hit now, I'm going to throw as much mana as I have. Like, if it's life or death, like if I can afford loss here, maybe I'll only spend the 1 point and maybe I'll get lucky. But if I absolutely have to hit, yeah, I'm going to dump as much mana as I can to get as many dice as I can to keep the best result to help assure I'm going to hit my curve. So that's kind of the idea that we're going to be approaching this. So we've already gone into the system. If you've been around for the past 2 sessions that we've done this, you can check the playlist, this color mana conversion playlist, to see how this has been stacking up. But we're basically going to be borrowing off of the other caster classes, mainly the bard, the sorcerer, and the wizard, to rebuild the spell point, the energy dice that they use, and instead translate it into the martial power mana system that we've been developing here. All these classes, all the subclasses from both the 2024 as well as 2014 translated into 2024 is in here. All the scaffolds go from level 1 to 20. Over the past 7 years, I've ran two campaigns in D&D 5e from level 1 to 20, and using this mana system, it works really well. So hey, cheers. So what we need to do here is all the mechanics that we have in here, we basically picked up and kept the energy die idea from the Psion while we were doing our first pass on this. But now that we're going through our second pass, we're going to extract all of the dice references and instead switch to the mana system. And when you spend mana, it'll tell you, like, when you spend 1 point of mana, you can roll a power die and blah. So the way that you can multi-class freely between, say, martial classes and the martial classes and like, say, this Psion. So like your barbarian, for instance, your barbarian is going to start with a d6 power die. D6, D8, D10, D12 is what the Psion gets. So both the Psion and the barbarian get a D6. When you're multi-classing in this system, you'll get the amount of mana that you have is dependent on your total levels. So if I've got like 5 levels of barbarian and 5 levels of fighter, I would have 10 martial levels, which would mean 10 mana. Or if I just went 10 levels of barbarian, it would also be 10 mana. The difference there is if I go 5 levels of fighter, I'm using a D6, and 5 levels of barbarian, I'm also using a D6, as opposed to a 10th level barbarian would be using a D8. So these do not combine. If I'm going to be splitting across classes to get access to various to a wider range of subclasses and class features to be able to use my mana, I'm reducing the power. Your power die isn't improving. So the same way is going here with the Psion, and you've got your monk progression. So D6, D8, D10, D12. It's basically the monk progression that we're using here. Actually, let's actually kick down to the monk, because that's probably going to be the most useful thing to us in this conversation today. This isn't scripted or anything. This is just me doing live design. So if I seem kind of haphazard and all over the place, welcome to the mix. Here I am. If you stick around long enough, everything makes sense. And if you're really curious about the system and want to think about using it, you can click into my Discord channel down below. It's free. If you want to join my Patreon to lend support, bless you. Thank you to my Patreon sponsors as well for helping fuel this madness in my spare time. But the monk has its D6, D8 at 5, D10 at 11, and D12 at 17. It's exactly the same as the Psion. So the Psion is really kind of like a full caster version of what the monk is as a martial. And I would say that the Warlock kind of fits inside that space as well, as like a half caster between these two. But only because I don't like leave anybody out. So we're going through this conversion process. Let's see, spell casting. You can swap one spell when you finish a long rest. You can swap all of them when you gain a level. Cantrips, you can change one when you gain a level. You use their mana, 1 point per level. When you finish a short or long rest, you can swap the colors of your mana. We're not talking about colors specifically today. We're just working on mana mechanics in general, and then we'll layer in color at a later date. We're giving you options of picking your spellcasting ability modifier, which could be intelligence, charisma, and constitution. All of them do that, like the martial power system. You can choose to use either strength, dexterity, or wisdom. For the monk, the fighter can use strength, dex, or intelligence. The rogue can use dexterity, intelligence, or charisma. The barbarian can use strength, constitution, or charisma. The ranger can also use strength, dex, wisdom. The paladin can use strength, wisdom, or charisma. And then the cleric is stuck with wisdom. The druid is stuck with wisdom. The sorcerer is stuck with wisdom, and the wizard is stuck with intelligence. The UA, we're allowing the Psion to pick between intelligence, charisma, and constitution. so that it makes it easier for you to multi-class into stuff. You know what? God, Constitution is so on flavor for this guy. I'm actually going to change this. I'm going to switch this Charisma to Wisdom. So that it will more naturally curve into the Warlock. The Monk is where I'm trying to go. Thank you. Psionic Power. You gain a let's see, Psionic Power. Let's go, actually, instead of trying to create new language about the Psionic Power, let's go visit the Bard. That's probably where we want to be right now. So let's tool up to the Bard, because that's got the answers that we want about using dice. Cleric, here we are, Bard. Because the Scion really is a blend between Bard and Sorcerer. That's the space that it actually sits in. So, college. Here we go. You gain. Dab nugget. Click. Nope. Let's go. Click, boom. Here. You gain a psionic power die. That's what we're going to change it to. We're going to change it to you gain a psionic. We'll keep energy die for now. Which is a d6 at higher levels. Your power die. Your energy die changes when you reach a certain Scion levels, as shown in the energy die table. Well, thank you, Timely Timer. That's my 20-minute timer to keep me on track of the Scion features table. The die becomes a D8 at 5, D10 at D10 at 10, and D12 at 17. You have a number of you do not gain any Bardic Inspiration dice, because we have to throttle back on how it operates. You gain a telekinetic feat. You can expend to increase the DC of a saving throw by an amount equal to the die roll. You can expend 1 mana. You gain a psionic energy die, which is a D6. At higher levels, your energy die changes when you reach certain levels. Scion levels, when you reach certain Scion levels, as shown on the energy die table. Certain psionic, certain Scion features expend energy dice. Certain Scion features roll psionic, roll energy dice when you expend mana, as detailed below. The result of the die is often added to a d20 test or damage rolls. In most circumstances, only 1 die is rolled when using these features. If an exception in circumstances this is not true, and a feature will state if multiple dice are rolled and how they affect and how they affect those features. There we go. So that's a little wordy. It's not great, but we hire an editor to clean this shit up, so I don't have to worry about it so much. It's good enough for now. Level 1, Psionic Power. Let's see, Telekinetic Repel. You gain the Telekinetic feat. You can expend 1 mana to roll an energy die. Comma, increasing the DC of the save by an amount equal to the die roll, and the target is pushed away from you an additional 5 feet times the result of the die. If the target succeeds the save, the die, and we do not give you your dice back. See, with the way that the monk is built, it only gives you 4 dice. So if it failed, you just kind of wasted a die, and that sucks. So they have to give you dice back. We don't have to do that because you get so much frickin' mana that you don't have to worry about it. So let's see, where are we at in here? Yeah, we do not have to save. Yeah, we don't have to worry about that because you have so much mana to throw around. You don't have to worry about regaining it. You gain the telepathic feat. You can expend 1 mana to... See, I don't have to have Sonic Powers. Let's go with... let's do it like this. What's it actually, hold on, what's it actually called in the UA? Because now that we're decoupling things, we can change the title of stuff. And it's still called Psionic Power. And this is spellcasting, all right. All right. We're organizing stuff. This is game design, welcome to it. We're going to go with energy dice. There. Sonic Power. Energy dice, Psionic Power, spellcasting. There you go. Feature will state if multiple dice are rolled and how they affect those features if you do. When you do, period. Psionic Power. We can erase all of this. You gain the telekinetic... the telekinetic and telepathic feat, which are modified by energy dice, by your energy die when you which are enhanced by your psionic power. Telekinetic Repel. When you use the telekinetic feat to push a target, you can expend 1 mana to roll an energy die, increasing the DC of the save by an amount equal to the die roll, and the target is pushed away from and the target can be pushed away from you an additional 5 feet times the result. Normally you only push them 5 feet, 10 feet. Normally you only push them 10 feet, but if the target fails And if the target fails the saving throw, you can push them. You can push them an additional 5 feet times the result of the die. Telepathic connection. You gain the telepathic feat when you use the telepathic feat. That's the way to word it. When you use the telepathic feat, you can expend 1 mana to communicate with a creature that doesn't share a language with you for a number of minutes equal to the result of the die roll. At the end of this duration, you can choose to maintain concentration on the connection. You can choose to maintain concentration as a level 1 spell, to maintain the connection until concentration is dismissed. I don't need to add a word. You can maintain. So with this mana system that we have, you can maintain concentration for however long you're willing to sustain it, as long as you don't lose it. But whenever you obviously you can lose concentration from taking damage, but anytime you have to make a saving throw as well, you compare the result of your saving throw, regardless of what kind of a save it is. Intelligence, dexterity, constitution, it doesn't matter. But if you fail the saving throw, you lose concentration as well. That's actually not true. When you make a saving throw, you compare the result of your save to your concentration DC. Your concentration DC equals 10 plus the number of levels of spell that you're maintaining at this time. So a 9th level spell would have a DC 19. So if you're making a dexterity saving throw to avoid a trap, and the trap DC is only 13, and you roll a 15, you'll successfully save against the trap, but because your result was less than 19, you're going to lose concentration on those 9 levels worth of spells. Whether they're a 9th level spell, an 8th level spell, and a 1st level spell, 9 1st level spells, a 4th and a 5th levels, any combination. If the total amount of mana that you maintain is 9, you lose it all. So that means your strength, your dexterity, your intelligence, your charisma, all of them are going to require, when you're maintaining 9 levels worth of spells, DC 19 is the minimum that you can roll on any saving throw to not lose that spell, which means maintaining spells is incredibly delicate. So you want to make sure that when your character's in combat or you're just adventuring around, you're going to eat your mana pool if you maintain concentration on shit. If all you do is focus on flashbang instant effects that don't require concentration, yeah, you're gonna hit hard. You're gonna hit hard. But the real strength behind spell points is how much shit you can maintain concentration on, just in the general spell point system, being able to spam out stuff, and that you don't care if you lose concentration or not. But the D&D 5e game system is so generous with maintaining concentration because they don't want to screw you out of what little few spells that you have. But if you give somebody a shitload of spells, you don't have to feel bad about fucking them out of their spells. In fact, as a DM, it becomes your responsibility to constantly shit test them, just like you would your dad, just like your gal is going to do to you. You're going to constantly shit test the spellcasters to see, can they maintain concentration. If they can't, they're going to have to pay extra mana to keep their shit in place. Because all your job as a DM is to whittle down their resource pile until the players get scared. And once the characters get scared because they're running out of resources, they're having fun. The most often resource that is supposed to be expended or threatened in the D&D game system is hit points. But that is the only resource that is universal to the game that you should expect to be dinged. Exhaustion is another universal resource, but only the casters have spell slots that are at risk. By converting all 14 classes to a mana system, all of them have mana, which are generous, and you can constantly shit test them on how much mana do you have left, how much are you willing to expend to do what you need to do, And are they capable of hitting the numbers that they need? And if they get scared in the process, you're doing a great job. So that's the idea that goes on behind that. So psionic discipline, you can choose to prepare psionic disciplines instead of spells. This is one of our sorcerer options. You get a ton of spells, but if you'd rather, you don't get a separate category of these are the meta magics you can learn and these are the disciplines you can learn. No, it's you have your spell list, and if you would rather have it filled with meta magic or psionic disciplines, do it. You won't have as many spells to cast, but you still have your cantrips and you still have your bonus spells. So you do have a selection of things that you can always use either disciplines or meta magic with. It just depends on how you want to build your character. So that's up to you. Psionic modes. As a bonus action, you can manifest psionic power for 1 minute, during which you gain the following benefits. You can use this feature twice and regain 1 use of it when on a short rest, and all expended uses of it when you finish a long rest. Psionic discipline. Oh yeah, and in addition, there we go. Psionic disciplines, and now we're going to go down and we're going to steal from the wizard. So let's go down to the wizard and steal from their short rest resource, because the Scion is supposed to get dice back on a rest. So this is taking that from you. So give me a second here. Let's get down to the wizard. 1 second. Wizard is what I want. Thank you. Get through all that shit. Okay, great. Wizard subclasses. Scholar, Arcane Recovery. Here we go. You regain some of your magical energy by studying your spellbook. When you finish a short rest, you can regain a number of mana up to the max level spell you can cast as a wizard. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. So we're going to gank that. And then telepathic bond, psionic power, energy dice, spell casting. Where do we want to put this? Let's put it in, well, hold on. Let's double check real quick. Let's look at the bard. Let's go up to the bard and see how they're using this. We'll eventually have this whole thing hyperlinked so it moves quickly. There we go. Bardic Inspiration. Using Bardic Inspiration, you have a number of Bardic Inspiration dice equal to your long, which you regain all uses when you finish a long rest. And you don't get... Okay, you get those resources at first level, and they're bonus resources, and you don't get them back until a long rest starting at level 1. Feat, Counter Charm, Expertise, Magical Secrets. Where'd it go? Font of Inspiration. You now regain all expended uses of Bardic Inspiration when you finish a short or long rest. In addition, you can expend 2 points of mana to regain 1 expended use of Bardic Inspiration, and you can expend 1 Bardic Inspiration die to regain 2 points of mana. No action required. Okay, so let's see. I think we want to have this lock in at first level, Psionic Power. Psionic Power. There we go. Let's see. You gain energy dice, psionic power, spell casting, bardic inspiration, spell casting, expertise, jack of all trades. Oops. Let's go back down to the Scion. Suss some things out here, y'all. This is going to take more than one session for us to do the entire... We can get the class done today, but then we'll have to come back and do subclasses Thursday night. So that's what we'll be doing Thursday night, subclasses. But let's get the system built. Psionic disciplines, psionic mode, prepared spells, mana, energy dice. Actually... No, let's just fold all this shit together. We'll just call it Psionic Power. Some of your psionic power. Psionic recovery. Let's see. Energy dice. Let's call it psionics. Let's do it that way. Energy dice, psionic power, psionic recovery. So that keeps it simple as just psionics. There, that makes the most sense. And that simplifies our table as well. Psionics, spellcasting. Hold on. Let me double check here real quick. Spells you list, change of prepared spells. Sonic spellcasting, thank you. Sonic spellcasting. When you cast a Scion spell that doesn't require verbal, when you cast a Scion spell, that spell doesn't require verbal or material components. Thank you. Scion spells you cast don't require verbal or material components unless the material specifies, unless the spell indicates material components are consumed or have a listed gold piece value. Thank you. Psionics, energy die, psionic power, psionic recovery. Oh, that all makes sense now. Okay, psionic disciplines. You can choose to prepare psionic disciplines instead of spells. Psionic modes. As a bonus action, you can manifest a psionic power. Feats, still the same. Subclasses, still the same. Psionic restoration. Psionic restoration is no longer a thing. Let's go visit the wizard to see how the wizard sits in this equation. So let's kick on down to wizard. There we go. Almost there. Hey, there we go. Wizard 5, memorize spell. Ooh. All right, let's look at what it. Okay, so spell casting, total cantrips. We get arcane recovery at 1, and then memorize spell at 5. Whenever you finish a short rest, you can study your spell book and replace one of the level 1 wizard spells you have prepared for your spell casting feature with another level 1 plus spell from your book. When you finish a short rest, you can study your spell book and replace one of the wizard spells you have prepared in your spell casting feature with another level 1+ spell from the book. Now let's go visit the sorcerer and see what that does. Because the sorcerer uses... So we have the sorcerer psionic modes. And Psionic Surge improves psionic modes at 7. While your psionic modes are active at the end of 1 minute duration, you can choose to extend duration. In addition, if you have no uses of psionic modes left, you can use it if you expend 2 mana while you take the bonus action to activate it. Rekindled Life Force at 20th level, your psionic modes feature is always active without expending an energy die to do so. What about the wizard? Did the wizard have something at 7th level that's comparable? Because I think our 5 and our 7 got swapped. I think that's what just happened. So yeah, we don't get shit at level 7 as a wizard. So that's our swap. The divine sorcerer gets a short resource at 7. The wizard gets a short rest resource at 5. And the bard gets a short rest resource also at checking. I think 7. Oh, Font of Inspiration, and then they get Bullshit Counter Charm at 7. So 5th level Font of Inspiration, right? So we don't have to give the Scion anything at 7. Where'd you go? They get Psionic Charge. They don't need Psionic Restoration. They get their Psionic Surge. So that's their 7. They get the Psionics, and then we're going to just get rid of Psionic Restoration. Right there. Actually, is it better? No, because Psionic Surge. Yeah, Psionic Surge is at 7. The sorcerer, the sorcerer's, the font of. Hold on. We'll make it based on the bard's font of inspiration. Let's see where that ends up sitting at. I think a font is at 7, isn't it? If it's at 5, we'll give it to him at 5. Font of inspiration. There we go. 5th level. Get me down there, buddy. Come on. Thank you. No, we're leaving at 7. Yeah, we're leaving 5 blank. You regain all energy dice on a short rest. Let's call it Psionic Restoration. There it is. There. Yeah, so far so good. Let's see. Enkindled Life Force. Your Sonic modes features always active without expending an energy die to do so. Sonic Surge. In addition, if you have no uses of Sonic modes left, you can expend 1 mana. The effect ends when you choose to, or you lose concentration. In addition, if you have no uses of Sonic modes left, you can use it to expend 2 mana while you take the bonus action to activate it. Good. Okay, good. That's all. That is actually all very stable now. Psionic Disciplines. Choose to prepare Psionic Disciplines, Psionic Modes as a bonus action. You gain your Sorcerer Innate Sorcery. When you deal psychic damage, it cannot be resisted. And when you roll dice to determine how much psychic damage you deal, you can expend an energy die to reroll a number of dice up to the result rolled. Deal psychic damage. It cannot be resisted. Hold on. Let's go visit the sorcerer, because this is a meta magic ability. You have resistance to psychic damage, and when you fail an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma save, you can use a reaction to expend. This is level 2, to expend 1 mana. To roll an energy die, adding the result to the save, potentially changing failure to success. As a bonus action, good. And regain 1 use of it when you finish a short rest, and all expended uses when you've used it when you finish a long rest. When you deal psychic damage, it cannot be resisted. And when you roll dice to determine how much psychic damage you deal, you can expend an energy die to re-roll a number of dice up to the result rolled. Up to the result rolled. When you deal psychic damage, you can expend 1 mana. I don't have to make it all about the energy dice. It's really all about mana, and sometimes energy dice fuel you. So we're going to drop the energy die from here. You can expend 1 mana to re-roll a number of dice. We need to look at the sorcerer real quick, because we have a meta magic power that does this, and I want to see at what level does it clip in. Because if it's just a meta magic power, it's just a meta magic power. It's not that big of a deal. The psionic disciplines are just basically retooled meta magic. So let's go down to our meta magic list and find it. We've got 23 meta magics here that can be combined together to create different effects. And going back up here, sorcerer. Careful, convincing, corroding, distant, empowered. There. When you roll, there it is. When you roll damage for a spell, you can expend 1 mana to re-roll a number of damage dice up to your charisma modifier, minimum of 1. You must use the new rolls. That is what this is doing. And when you roll psychic damage, and it doesn't matter if it's a spell or not. It's just if you're doing psychic damage, which is really good if you're going to multi-class into a monk that focuses on psychic damage. That's really fucking sick. God damn, this would be really, really cool to multi-class. You can spend 1 mana, you can expend, thank you, language. When you expend 1 mana, you can expend 1 mana to re-roll a number of dice up to your casting ability modifier. You must use new rolls. There you go. That's really freaking good. Sonic Subclass is good. Sonic Surge is good. Okay, cool. So we finished that off. Now let's look at the Sonic Disciplines, and we'll be done for the day. On Thursday, we're going to come back. We're going to work on the Sonic Subclasses to similarly translate them so that you're divorcing them from being reliant on the energy die, and instead the energy die just becomes a kicker effect for you, which we'll see here. Biofeedback. When you cast a Scion spell, you can expend an energy die to roll it. You can expend 1 mana to roll an energy die. Adding your casting stat and the level of spell cast to the result. Gain this many temporary hit points. God, that's pretty good. Let's see. Destructive Thoughts. When a creature succeeds a saving throw against a Scion spell that you cast, you can expend 1 mana to roll an energy die, comma. Adding your casting stat bonus to the level of spell cast to the result. Deal this many psychic damage to the target. And level of spell cast. So adding your casting stat bonus. Deal this much. Deal this many psychic damage. Deal this much. I say many, but I think it should be much. Deal this much psychic damage to the target. And that's a reaction. Double checking here real quick. God, I wish we had... No, yeah, 1 mana. I'm good with that being 1 mana. I think I want to have these be low cost so you can just spam the hell out of them without necessarily taking away from your high magic. Devilish Ton. When you take the influence action, you can expend 1 mana and roll an energy die, adding the result to the ability check. When you take the influence action, you can expend 1 mana to roll an energy die, comma, adding the result to the ability check. And again, you could take all of these things, and instead of casting spells, you'd just be able to spam out this kind of stuff. It just depends on what kind of a scion you want to build. Eagle Whip. When a creature triggers an opportunity attack, I'm not going to set a limit on how that gets affected. When a you can expend 1 mana to roll an energy die, comma, dealing psychic damage equal to the result of the roll, plus your this can be used in combination with a weapon attack. Pop. No, I'm going to take away that last bit. We don't need that anymore. Hold on. Hold on. Let's take a look at this again. 1, 5, 9, 13, 'I found it. What the hell's going on? Okay, I found it. I found it. Sonic's spellcasting mana. Now we gotta go to the sorcerer. Nope, that didn't work. How does this work? Hold on. Come on, Google Docs, don't suck. Don't suck just for a little bit. Nope, that didn't work. Max. Energy. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice. Let's go back down. Okay, we got it. We got ourselves sussed out now, y'all. This is totally gonna work. All right. So, psionic power, psionics, energy dice. You gain energy die. Hold on. Where was the monk at? Monk was 11, right? Yeah. You might hate me, but I'm changing the D10 to 11th level instead, so it completely complies with the monk. So it's completely transparent. Thank you, Timely Timer. Almost there, guys. Stay on target. Let's see. You can't spend more than 1 mana. You can't spend more than 1 mana on psionic energy. You can spend up to 1 mana to roll an energy die. At later levels, you can expend more mana to roll more dice. At 5th level, you can roll up. You can spend 2 mana to roll 2 dice. At 9th level, you can spend 3 mana to roll 3 dice. At 13th level, you can expend 4 mana to roll 4 dice. At 17th level, you can expend 5 mana to roll 5 dice. You can expend up to 1 mana. You can expend 1 mana to roll an energy die. At later levels, you can spend more mana to roll an equal number of dice. An equal number of dice. Hey, how you doing, Fernando? At 5th level, you can expend 2 mana to roll 2 dice. You can expend There we go. 9th level, 3 mana, 3 dice. 13th level, 4 mana, 4 dice. 17th level, 5 mana, 5 dice. You know what? Nah, I don't need to change. I don't need to change the level. I can leave it at 10. I don't think there's a big reason to leave it at 10th. But we'll do it just because we can. Sonic Power. Where'd you go? Energy dice. D12 at 17. Yeah, that's right. You can spend 1 mana to roll an energy die, and to roll 1 energy die, and at higher levels, and at later levels, you can expend more mana to roll an equal number of dice. Let me load this up front here like that. Why would you write 2 instead of 2? Now it's fixed. Yeah, because I'm goofy. Because well, technically in D&D, 2 is a mechanical numerical term, while the word 2, TWO, is descriptive. But in this case, dice and mana are both mechanical things. It's like you can affect 2 targets. I would write the word TWO because I'm talking about targets, not like a resource mechanic. So both energy dice and mana are considered like resource, like feature mechanics. So in that instance, you would. It's touchy, but there is a difference. Certain Scion features roll energy dice when you expend mana, as detailed below. The result of the die is often added to a d20 test or a damage roll. In most circumstances, only 1 die is rolled when using this feature. And some, but while some allow you to roll multiple dice. A feature will state if multiple dice are rolled and if multiple dice can be rolled and how they affect those features when you do. You can expend 1 mana to roll an energy die, and at later levels you can expend more mana to roll an equal number of dice. At 5th level you can roll 2 mana, you can roll 3 at 9, 4 at 13th, and 5 at 17. This is our normal scaffold for both sorcery as well as for channeling powers for martial classes. Oh, I'll take note of that for my homebrew subclasses. Yeah, it's goofy. Just check it out. You'll see that it crops up occasionally. Like, especially like when you're dealing with like feet of movement. Like they always refer to like 5. They don't say 5. Like you can like target something 30 feet away. They don't type out 30 THIRT. They'll write 30. Because distance is a technical mechanism inside the game. That is a numerical technical mechanism. They're pretty consistent about that. Sonic Restoration. But it also depends on what edition you're using. So, I mean, you want to pay attention to that as well. Like if you're an OSR enthusiast and you're making stuff for 2nd edition, they don't really do that, I don't think. It's been a while. Okay, now we've got this figured out. As a bonus action, you can manifest Sonic Power for 1 minute, during which you gain the following benefits. When you deal psychic damage, it cannot be resisted, and when you roll psychic damage, you can expend 1 mana to re-roll a number of damage dice up to your casting limit. You have resistance to psychic damage, and when you roll, you can use a reaction to expend. You spend 1, or you can expend mana up to your maximum. What's the word that we're using now? Up to your maximum energy. you can use a reaction to expend mana up to your max energy limit to roll an equal number of energy dice, adding the highest result to your save. So if I'm making a saving throw and I'm level 9 and I'm rolling d8s and I gotta fucking make this intelligence saving throw, otherwise I'm gonna get stunned by that illithid, I'm willing to spend 3 mana to roll 3 8-sided dice and add the highest result to my saving throw. I'll if I rolled an 8 and the other 2, who knows? Maybe I would have gotten 8 with 1. Maybe it took all 3. You don't know. It's a risk-reward thing. But when you have 80 mana and you can regain 10 on a short rest at 19th level, you've got enough mana to throw around that you can afford to do it. So there you go. It's your own risk-reward. You can, if you can afford it, you are welcome to do it. But each of these, like for example, the power die. Here for the fling attack with the psychic damage, you only have to spend 1 to reroll a number of dice equal to your casting ability modifier, like your intelligence, charisma, constitution, whichever it is. I made constitution an optional spell casting ability modifier because the Scion is squishy AF. So allowing them to single ability focus on constitution both gives you more hit points, which the Scion desperately needs since they don't have shit for armor class. And it stacks up your casting check, and that synergizes with barbarian. So if you wanted your barbarian to have spell casting abilities, but you didn't want to be a sorcerer lugging a spell book around, or if you didn't want to have to deal with like weird words, material components, you could keep that fantasy by focusing your channeling power as a barbarian in Constitution, and as a Scion, it complements that hands-free fuck with stuff sort of vibe that you get for the barbarian. So when we go through this, we're going to be using this language of spend X amount of points or spend expend mana up to your max energy limit to roll an equal number of energy dice. Those are the 2 ways it does. It's either a finite number that does a specific task, or it's stacking dice and keep the best result, or it could be stacking dice and add all the results, like for damage and stuff. Hey, what's up? What would happen to the changes for this class if it don't make the cut to official D&D? I'll put it on my Patreon. That's what I'll do. When I update and publish, when I publish the 2024 version of the Color Mana Spell Point variant rules, that's going to remain focused only on the core casting classes, the Paladin. We'll probably include the Artificer, Paladin, Ranger are the half casters, the Warlock, the Cleric, Druid, Bard, Sorcerer, Wizard, and the Eldritch Knight and Arcane Trickster. Those are the classes that we will include in the revised Color Mana Spellpoint variant rulebook. And then we'll have the Martial Powers book. And the Martial Powers book will offer a mana system for the Barbarian, Fighter, Monk, and Rogue. And then we'll have alternate rules to use powers for Artificers, Paladins, Rangers, and Warlocks if desired. And then we'll have Spellpoint Sorcerers as a separate book, Spellpoint Warlocks as a separate book, and if this publishes, Spellpoint Scions as a separate book. And when I say separate book, those are like typically like $3 that I end up dropping to $1 as part of a bundle. And the core mechanics book is, I think it was like $16, but I drop it to $13 with the bundle. Eldritch Knights and Arcane Tricksters, that's a $5 book, but I drop it to $2. So if you get both together, it's $15 instead of $16 for just the core mechanics. So I build these out as separate books, as loss leaders to add into bundles, so that you can get all these different things for maybe a couple of bucks more than you would have gotten the core mechanics. So it's easy for you to, and some of them are free, like pay what you want, like the revised Color Mana Spellpoint system. That's pay what you want. Spell Point Sorcerers is Spell Point Warlocks, that's pay what you want, but it's sold over 600 copies because people will check out my mechanics and they'll just end up buying it with the bundle anyway. Why not? So you could pick up things for free from me if you want, but if you want to support me, you just buy them all anyway. But if you pick up something for free, it automatically is reduced from the cost of the bundle. So I'm giving you opportunities to give you like multiple coupon discounts by dropping costs of books by buying other books. So yeah, so if this doesn't make the cut and they end up throwing it away, I will publish. I will probably publish this. I'll either publish it on well, maybe fuck it. Maybe I'll just publish on the DMs Guild anyway as a thing that could be done. But like the Echo Knight, for instance, I can't publish the Echo Knight on DMs Guild because Echo Knight isn't actually owned by Wizards of the Coast. It's a Matt Mercer thing on DMs Guild. No, is it on DMs? No, it's in Wildmount, which isn't on DMs Guild. It's not available for me to publish. I have a spell point system for Echo Knight already in this document at the end of the fighter list, but I'd never be able to officially publish it anywhere for money. But I can post it on my Patreon at no cost as fan content because I'm not charging for it and it's freely available to anybody. As a Lost Leader coupon, so this is the kind of stuff that I build. If you're interested, support me on Patreon. But I won't be able to get there until I publish the revised core mechanics and I publish the Martial Powers book so that I can start processing all these things and once those books are published, I can use all these rules to build things like the Boros Swiftblade, Dimir Assassin, an Abzan like Abzan Shaman or whatever, 1,000, a billion, like 10,000 Magic the Gathering cards. Once these are all published, we're going to have a deep mechanical language in 5e game engine using spell points to express how Magic the Gathering works in the 5e game engine, and it'll be technically complete. Like all the technical mechanical details will be completed. So then we can start just creating fan content off my Patreon, using all the books that you could read for free on DM's Guild. Pick up those books, buy them if you want to support me. God bless you. Join me on Patreon if you want to support me there as well. And then I'll be kicking out content. And my Patreons will have the right to vote on what I build next. So I'll have a survey rolling every month. What do you want me to build this month? I'll build it. And then once we build it, I'll publish it. And then that'll be available for the common market. And like people that support me will have access to the content early so they can play test it in my games if they want to or whatever. So that's the scheme. That's my 3-year plan. My 3-year plan from now, by 2028, that's how I'll be operating. And if this really is the last version of D&D that Wizards plans on producing, then that'll be golden for now through the next X amount of years. And if the DM Guild crashes, I can just put all these books up as fan content on my Patreon as check this stuff out, support me, and do more stuff. So through that means and through the Patreon, free access to all the stuff, and my YouTube channel, maybe like 8 years from now, I could quit my day job and do RPG stuff for a living. Who knows? But I'm not in a hurry. I just want to have fun with it. So it's a lot of content. Yeah, it's a lot of content. But if you look at the bundle already, it's already got 7 books in it. So I mean, I'm just translating what I already have into the 5e24 mechanics and then adding to it. Because the goal was always to have a mana system across all character classes. It's taken 8 years for me to get to a point where I can actually do it. So, but that's passion projects for you. They take forever. But God's willing, I won't die until it's done. So now that we have the psionic power rules in place, I only got 3 minutes left before I got to go back to work. But I'm going to keep working on this on Thursday night. So when we come back on Thursday, I'll be digging through this as well as all the subclasses. So let's see where we can get. So we already have the 1 point. You can re-roll dice. 1 point you can gain this many temporary. When you cast a Scion spell, you can expend 1 mana to roll an energy die, adding your casting stat and the level of spell cast to the result. Gain this many temporary hit points. Destructive Thoughts: when a creature succeeds a save against a Scion spell that you cast. A save against a Scion spell that you can cast. You can expend 1 mana to roll an energy die, adding your casting stat bonus and the level of spell cast to the result. Deal this much psychic damage to a target. Destructive Thoughts. When a creature succeeds a saving throw against a Scion spell that you cast. Right. Devilish Ton. When you take the influence action, you can expend 1 mana to roll an energy die, adding the result to the ability check. You can expend mana up to your max energy limit to roll an equal number of energy dice, adding the highest result. See, this is another example. D20 tests work that way. You can throw in as much mana as you can up to your max limit, and you keep the best result, and your die continues to increase as you gain levels as well. So if you focus yourself on staying a Scion from up to level 17, you're going to throw a D12. You can throw up to 5 of them if you want to by spending 5 out of your 80 mana, and you'll keep the best die result. You might not need to spend 5 dice, but if you absolutely need to add 10 to your saving throw to not get killed, and you have the 5 mana, I guarantee you're going to throw the dice unless you don't mind your character dying. So, just depends on what risks and rewards you're willing to take. This is an instance where you're not already expending mana and you're modifying a d20, so we allow you to stack dice and take the best result. But something like Destructive Thoughts, where you're adding psychic damage to somebody that succeeds a saving throw, you already spent mana to cast a spell and they succeeded the saving throw. So you've already spent mana to do this. We're now just having you kick in 1 extra mana as a consolation prize. Ego Whip. When a creature triggers... Yeah, we just did that. When a creature triggers an opportunity attack, you can expend 1 mana to roll an energy die, dealing psychic damage plus equal to the result of the power equal to the result of the roll plus casting stat. When a creature triggers an opportunity attack, you can expend mana up to your max energy limit. Thank you. To roll an equal number of energy dice, dealing psychic damage equal to the result of the dice rolled plus your casting stat. So at 17th level, Ego Whip, if I get you to do if I can get an opportunity attack on you, I can spend 5 mana to deal 5d12 plus casting stat in psychic damage to you. Not bad. That's actually really good, but I mean, it's if you have the Warcaster feat, you can already do this. You could use Disintegrate, a 6th level spell, Disintegrate, to use as an opportunity attack to shoot somebody. It'll cost you 6 mana to do it, but just to remind myself, D&D Beyond, Disintegrate. Single target, action, that qualifies for Warcaster, takes 10d6 plus 40 force damage. So I can do this as an opportunity attack if I take the Warcaster feat. This is outclocking the damage that I'm proposing that we be able to do with Ego Whip. But Ego Whip scales from level 1, dealing d6 plus stat, up to 5d12 plus stat. It's actually weaker than Disintegrate. Disintegrate does up to 60 damage plus 40, while we'll do up to 60 damage plus 5, like 65. This could do 100 damage. Ego Whip could do up to 64. But it's going to, but again, it's going to cost you 5 mana to do it. So if you want to spend your 80 mana, you could build a creature. You could build a character build that focuses on like Dissonant Whispers, that forces creatures to run away from you on their turn, just so you can set them up to hit them with Ego Whip. So you cast Dissonant Whispers, and then you hit them with an Ego Whip afterwards, and that's going to guarantee you have control effects on, like you can force them to move and then ding them for moving. That's a really cool, quick, tight combo, like a 2-card combo that can really fuck up your enemies. It makes you a really fun asset to your team. Feed movement into your Scion because he's gonna fuck him up with Ego Whip. That's a cool little action loop. Expanded awareness. When you take a search action, you can expend mana up to your max energy limit to roll an equal number of energy dice, comma, adding the highest result to the ability check. See how that's working? It's consistent in its structure. But I've ran out of time, so I gotta go. We're gonna finish the disciplines list, and then we'll go through and we'll do the same treatment to all the subclasses as well. And there's a ton of treasure in the subclasses. We can reference a whole bunch of stuff in this power document, like a bunch of basically all of these disciplines. These are all exploits. Virtually all of these are either exploits or reactions. So these fold. We could take these and make them powers that martial characters could use as well. So it could be like, if this actually gets adopted by wizards in the martial power system, we could have a feat that says psionic discipline. Learn a psionic discipline of your choice. And the martial characters already have a system built into place that lets you use these things. In some instances, these are exact duplicates of what already exists. So it's pretty cool. So anyway, that's it for now. I gotta go. I am looking forward to being back with y'all Thursday night to continue this process. Anyone that's out there in the world, if you think this shit's cool, I stream 9 times per week. I do artwork in the morning, and I do game design in the evenings or on the afternoons when I'm active like this. So like and subscribe to get notifications of when I'm live in the future. And be welcome to join my Discord channel to get the updates and ask questions, sharpen your knives, yada, yada, yada. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning for more Eberron artwork. So thanks a lot. Cheers.